Anti-Trump protests are popping up all over the nation. Will this lead to Trump's demise? Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Matt Gnezda, filling in for Chris Chappell today. There have been a lot of protests these last couple of months. We've had the Tesla takedown protests, the hands-off protests, the 50-51 protests, the May Day protests, and more recently, the ongoing protests in LA, which, as you might imagine, have gone really swell. The lady doth protest too much, methinks. Or not enough? It's hard to tell. Naturally, this isn't making Trump happy. He responded to the LA protests by deploying the National Guard and justified doing so on Truth Social by saying, "If I didn't send in the troops to Los Angeles, that once beautiful and great city would be burning to the ground right now, much like the 25,000 houses burned to the ground in LA due to an incompetent governor and mayor." Though, for context, here's a map of LA with the area circled where most of the unrest is occurring. There's no way the whole city would be burning. It'd take forever to get to Encino during rush hour. Trump saw what happened during the 2020 George Floyd riots in Minneapolis, and he wants to avoid the same mistakes officials made back then. California Governor Gavin Newsom opposes Trump sending in the National Guard, but there's not much he can do, except keep pretending he's not going to run for president in 2028. This isn't the first time a president has deployed the National Guard against a state governor's wishes. In 1965, President Lyndon Johnson deployed the National Guard because Alabama's governor refused to protect protesters who were calling for black voting rights. In 1957, President Eisenhower deployed the National Guard in Little Rock, Arkansas, because the governor refused to protect black students attending a newly desegregated school. Is what Trump is doing now the same thing? Is he using the National Guard to protect protesters from being hurt by other violent protesters? You can decide that for yourself. But one thing's for sure. It's adding fuel to the theory that Trump is trying to manufacture a crisis. I guess that's one way of bringing manufacturing back to America. According to critics, Trump wants to target civilians. He's destroying American democracy and carrying out a fascist takeover. I know they've said that 90 times before, but this time they mean it. They're not crying wolf, they're crying fox. News.
Violence is not the answer. Donald Trump wants the violence. The Trump administration manufactured this crisis in Los Angeles, and vandalism and violence play right into their hands.
This move to federalize the National Guard troops is designed to inflame and divide. That is the goal, to create chaos and inflame and trigger a reaction.
It doesn't matter whether these claims are true or whether Trump had the authority to do what he did. What Trump did is convincing enough for people who already don't like Trump to mobilize. LA has now become a rallying cry for protesters to spread all over the US, in places like San Francisco, San Jose, Seattle, Atlanta, New York, and everywhere in between. At this point, ICE might as well stand for I can't even. A much larger nationwide protest is now coming on Saturday, June 14th. Flag Day has become the National Day of Defiance and Mass Mobilization, aka No Kings Day. How strict are they about no kings? Do I have to eat at Mickey D's instead of BK? No Kings Day is made up of more than 100 of what Axios calls pro-democracy advocacy groups. They include progressive organizations like the ACLU, the Human Rights Campaign, Planned Parenthood, the Sierra Club, and more. It's basically an Avengers Assemble moment for groups that, if you donated to them once, you've been getting weekly letters from them asking for more ever since. No Kings protest will be held all across the U.S. to reject Trump's authoritarian vision and to show the wannabe king what democracy looks like. Except in Washington, D.C. No King says they're planning on skipping D.C. because they want to take attention away from what they call the birthday parade. Competing parades? This is so deliciously petty, it's appropriate that it's taking place during Pride Month. Organizers say that millions of people are estimated to protest in more than 1,500 cities across all 50 states and Puerto Rico, including at Trump's Mar-a-Lago. Even Walmart heiress Christy Walton is getting the word out for No Kings by paying for ads in the New York Times, leading MAGA supporters to go, "Screw Walmart, we're going to go shop at Target." Never mind. No Kings might not have gotten this much attention had Trump not used the National Guard. People are now so worried that the New Republic anticipates that Saturday could become disastrous. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. So why June 14th? What's so special about that day? It's the day that marks the U.S. Army's 250th birthday and Trump's 79th. And Trump wants to celebrate. Which one? You decide. USA Today says this gives off dictator vibes. The Daily Beast says the parade risks being a dark turning point. But to be fair, military parades aren't uniquely a Trump thing. The U.S. had military parades at the end of the Civil War, during the inaugurations of President Eisenhower and JFK, and most recently at the end of the First Gulf War. But because this is happening on Trump's birthday, critics are calling this the president's taxpayer-funded birthday parade and corrupt display of strongman politics. It's giving people all the more reason to go out to protest against Trump, especially when Trump warned that protests at the Army parade would be met with force. A Trump classic. If they spit, we will hit.
And we're going to be celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester that wants to come out, they will be met with very big force.
It's kind of like that old song, "It's my birthday and I'll try you in court if I want to." Critics continue to frame potential violence across the nation as a manufactured trap set by Trump. The New Republic claims Trump is itching to brutalize dissenters, and that he's eagerly awaiting an excuse to invoke the Insurrection Act to mobilize active duty soldiers and crack down on his enemies. But this wouldn't be the first time people accuse Trump of trying to manufacture a crisis. The Council on Foreign Relations accused Trump of doing that even before he came into office. Democrats did the same after his 2019 Oval Office speech. They've also accused him of trying to manufacture a crisis at the southern border. But others are making Trump to be less of a conniving manipulator and more of an incompetent buffoon. MSNBC host Rachel Maddow says that Trump's panicking and that he has no idea how to respond to a growing, indomitable protest of the American people. So he's lashing out with the Army. But before we jump to conclusions, let's wait and see how Saturday pans out. So what do you think? Is Trump making the right call or a big mistake? Are these protesters just concerned citizens worried about the president overstepping his power? Or are they bad actors that doth protest too much? Leave your comments below. And if you want to support our nonpartisan take on news, click the link below to join us at AmericaUncovered.tv. Once again, I'm Matt Gnezda. Thank you for watching America Uncovered.